Yeah. Salam, salam, Yahwat. Hawahom Dawid, Captain. Lomi, I have a special guest with me today, long awaited, Dr. Timnit Gebru,
Oh, Timnit.
Dr. Scientist, computer scientist. Correct.
Yeah.
Dealing with AI. This is long awaited. We Rina Kina, so we'll do this in Tigrina in English host was. Rina Kina
Hala.
Aba Erisa.
Tig
Huh?
like Spanglish. What do we call it in Tigrinya? Tinglish? Ting
Tinglish.
Tinglish?
Tignilish. Tinglish.
Tigrinya? Okay.
Tingrinalish. Yeah. I just Nanas Tets Abina. A lot of people have been waiting. Before like
Uh-huh.
um I know you're not like any elected groups or you're not part of, but you have your own way of speaking out for justice. And we appreciate that. Even though we align ourselves with you, we understand your stance. Now, the thing is, زي حبتنا أنا كم دمتنا أزرع. The loudest microphone دمتنا نسخة because مزحتهم تيوم
Uh,
تيوم عبيت زلو Elon Nimzulo Galamela Yurihim. They act like they don't, but Yurihulo. It's impossible to not notice you're there. So well, we already grown fast. Abutum Razelom, Butu Mutsu, and I will introduce yourself, but to get up English, how I always know, because I have two crowds.
Tinglish.
English. Go ahead, sister.
Okay, so كلتيو بغلتيو غيري نعي. Okay. كيف التنيمو؟ Timnit Gebru Bahal. كم تناقر كوخات Timnit مالت. It means wish, right? Um, مو عملت شيء بعد ساعة وليد عابي. جينا اب امريكا اب 1999 بس حابزي دحريو electrical engineering تماهيرا ب PhD بقود ايه مالتيو اب قدمي PhD مقواري خاني اب ابل سرح نيرا دحريو اب جوجل كاب جوجل واتين international news stereo نيرو. Okay, do you want me to do like one like English Tigrinya and then translate and Tigrinya and then translate, or do you want me to go in and out of
You're
Tigrinya and English?
you're
It's so
you're
hard
doing
for me.
no, you're doing perfect. You know what I do in
Okay.
Tagabir? Hajin Tagabir
Okay.
Maslaki. Salami Hawate Yulmish. How's everyone doing? Like that. However you want to do it. Don't matter.
Okay, all right. Because like I usually would like either just speak Tigrinya or speak English. So okay, نخلتي كردوم من عند اللي زلنا مالتي تقوم إنجليزية زير الدوم بتقرينيا كردوم تقوم تقرينيا زير الدوم كاني بإنجليزية كسمعنا من تانينا نفتن
Oh,
زلنا مالتي. Okay, so I'll do my best. I'm learning this new English language. So I worked in a number of tech companies. I worked as an electrical engineer. I worked in many different specialties in electrical engineering. And at some point, I started working in a field that's called AI. AI is it's a marketing term, so people understand there's a lot of hype around AI. So everything kind of starts being called AI at the time. And so now I have my own institute where because I just wanted to study topics and research topics that I think are relevant to the people that I care about. So that's why I have my own institute. And so that's a short introduction to me.
thank you, Dr. A. So when you say your own institute,
أبي خلني قرب دكتور كتب لها.
nah,
كم
nah,
نبوي زبلون never, you know.
no, Sahara, not
دكتور.
working أنا بلاكي. بزيد الرجال بس إحنا زلخي بتعمي زخرة عناي. We're so proud of you that I don't know if you can grasp the magnitude of I don't know how to explain it. We're so proud that when we see you, we're like Zanatha. Like we don't want no one touching you. We don't want no one talking. We try to protect you. You know what I mean? So that's a big deal for us. I want you to know that you earned
Thank
it.
you.
But
Thank you.
you earned it. You said nate institute ala nilki.
Oh,
Haji nate institute خطب له خلص what entire institute nai Timurtidu, is it for technology? Is it to teach the youth? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Institute مالتي ዝተፈላለዩ ሰባት ኣለዉ ኣብቲ ናትና ኢንስቲትዩት መጀመርያ ነገር እቲ ሪሰርች ኢና ንገብር ስለዚ ኣብቲ ናተይ ሕጂ ኣብ ቅድሚ ናተይ ኢንስቲትዩት ንምስራተይ ዝሰርሐሉ ዝነበርኩ ኣብ ጉግል ከማን ክሰርሕ ከለኹ ሪሰርች ዝገብር ዝነበርኩ and maybe I'll say in English now why research is important is because you get to change things before they are widely disseminated. So you imagine what's going to happen in research and you try to institute it. And then, so when you do research, you're basically like setting the future. So we focus on research. And our research topic is AI, artificial intelligence. And so we studied both the harms of current AI systems, and we also try to imagine how we want AI to be built. So I don't want to just be stuck on talking about the issues and the harms. I also want to put forward my vision, my understanding of how technology should be built. And at my institute, we have different kinds of people. And we have not just researchers and AI practitioners, not just engineers, but we also have activists and organizers and labor organizers. ሕጂ ንኣብነት ሜሮን ስጢፋኖስ ትፈልጥዋ ትኾኑ ንስደተኛታት ብዙሕ ዝሰርሐት ሰበይቲ እያ እሳ ሕጂ ንኣብነት እቲ AI ቴክኖሎጂ ንስደተኛታት ከመይ ገይሩ ኣፌክት ከም ዝገብሮም ዘሎ ከምኡ ዓይነት ሪሰርች ዝገብር ኣላ ኣብ ናትና ኢንስቲትዩት ማለት እዩ So yeah, so we have a mix of people working on تقريبا تخيل أول كم يجري سخيل أول خيل English أنا نزارب زلنا حنجي كنا خيل تقريبا yeah so we have a mix of people because I think that AI needs to have many different perspectives to be developed. Right, correctly, not just engineers, not just scientists, but people from many other perspectives. And so that's what I'm trying to do with my institute.
Brilliant. So entire AI مبزحتهم بعدنا قال obviously أب إريترا صغير Eritrean Eritrawit مش Eritrawit زقرمم زلوجين أنت she speaks تجرينا أنا مسبع نابعتنا وانا اخنا راهو كوانس كما جرس مش حواتيس كزارب زخص تجرينا بعلي زخلي لس لنفسي زف سلست عمد بحايلي دكيره
تماهر كايو بعلى خاطر تماهر كايو نفو يا حاب تعمي
I mean فتينا يفتنا له قربتي قول له تاتلني تموتور قام قال مالا جنس اقم يلا كنبص عينا قلنا علي تجرينا انا تايلاند انجلش قال مالا تاي خيله يجي إذا هجي they're proud of you سلا تجرينا تخيل أنت كوريا من ينزلوا
you know I سجاب حموش تعمتي زخون من الوسائل 4 عامتي زخون تجرينا تريني رززارم تجرينا تريني رزفلت كلا قانقو يفلت النيرة
that's why
بيت مرتمس آتخو يا محرية تماهيرة هو
لا تحجي تصوريو like كمزي حجز تماركيو قالوا هون كمان بابا ماما يتوريني غلط تردي بس عمي زي حقوسي لا brilliant ده حجيب زناي AI artificial intelligence بزح نرينا بسوشيال ميديا بقاله robots boxing قاله أنا وأبسي بس هنا accidentally نسبز هاسيو ما كاين بعلن زخرات سبدك يسخلو قال we see a lot of things مش
yeah
حجي تحطه what level are we really at? أبي درجة أنا really حجاب إريترا إنترنت يلن قال يلن نفلت تزبي تزعيق يزلو جن أبي نازلنا إذا خلوا زرينا زلو حق إديو robot متيون عاي مساك وعدا دور زخيل can a robot really compete with me? Are we really at that level?
Yeah مبزحته حدا حق إذا خنا له مبزحته جن عبت ميديا قالنا اليوم بزح نجار حق خازي خنا نجار على لون منتاي ብዙሕ እዚኦም AI ዝሰርሑ ዘለዉ ኩባንያታት ሰብ ከምዚ ዓብይ ነገር እንዳሰርሑ ዘለዉ ክመስሎም ስለ ዝደልዩ PR ማርኬቲንግ ካምፔይንስ ኣለዎም ማለት እዩ ግን AI ኣብ ብዙሕ ሕጂ ናብ ምንታዮም ዝጥቀምሉ ዘለዉ መንግስትታት ኩባንያታት ናብ surveillance ናብ ሰብ ንምቁፅፃር ሰብ ምክትታል ገለመለ and this is very I would say this is very important for people who want to protest and for people who want to be dissidents to know, right? ሕጂ ንኣብነት ክነግረካ ዝኽእል ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ኣብ ናይ Black Lives Matter protest ክግበር ከሎ ፖሊስ እንታይ ገይሮም እቲኦም 2016 ኣቢሉ Black Lives Matter protest ክግበር ከሎ ብድሮን ፉቴጅ ገይሮም ፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ተጠቂሞም መን ኣብቲ ፕሮቴስት ከም ዘሎ ክሪኡ ፈቲኖም ድሓረይ ምስቲ ናይ ሶሻል ሚድያ ዘለዎም ኣካውንት ሊንክ ክገብርዎ ጀሚሮም ማለት እዩ right ሕጂ ናትካ ኣስኻ ኣብቲ ፕሮቴስት ከም ዘለኻ ብፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ገይሮም ናትካ ሽም ክፈልጦ እንተ ይኽእሉ ድሓረይ ናትካ ሽም ከዓኒ ምስቲ ናይ ሶሻል ሚድያ ኣካውንትካ ሊንክ ገይሮም መኒኻ ገለ ኢሎም ከምኡ ዓይነት ነገር ክገብሮም ዝፍትኑ ሕጂ እንታይ ዝገብር ሰባት ከይዶም ሰላማዊ ሰልፍ ከይገብሩ የፈራርሖም ማለት እዩ so it really goes against your civic duty to protest and to do other things so this is the kind of thing that people are doing so what did people do to counteract this during those Black Lives Matter movements when people were sharing photos online on social media etc people were saying don't share photos of people's faces because you are helping people target them so some people created tools also AI-based tools to cover people's faces so if I upload a video I put it through the tool and the tool detects the faces and just puts emojis or some other things to cover them this means that it protects protesters so a lot of right now what you see on the media about how AI is used is really not as much about the exact ways in which it is used and it is used very very much for surveillance in this way and I want to give another example because many of our communities are refugees and refugees and immigrants across the diaspora one of the biggest if not the biggest uses of AI is against refugees so there are countries constructing what they call electronic border walls so that they can see who is going across the border they try to detect what's called image recognition tools where if you have an image you try to detect what's in that image people trees etc and what this does is you can't stem migration without stemming the root cause of why people are migrating when you're doing these things what you're doing is you're making the migration more dangerous so as we know many of our people are drowning in the Mediterranean they're undergoing a lot of different issues and for instance in the EU AI is used to really expand the border so they want to use drones they use drones and other kinds of technologies to detect people in boats so that they return them to let's say Libya right rather than rescue them so there are many different kinds of uses of AI like this right now that affect our communities specifically
so in retrospect like example I know of the eye in the sky. I know of the balloons and all the camera systems and whether it's government or military, whatever. Now, I kind of like that point. Up to now, Black Lives Matters them sahiyo. Group تخمز إن Chinese جبروه. أبزخلو نجار زخركاس identify جبرها. It's an infringement of my rights because I know and I don't give the authorization for them to do that. They're identifying me, they're placing me, they're hitting my social media, which means they can even know my house and everything I have is open. What is there a scrambler system like the military uses? Is there some sort of AI methodology or system scramble?
That's a really great question.
I know because I work with that.
Okay, yeah. That's a good question because ሕጂ ሓደ ነገር ክነግረካ ዝደሊ እዚ ናይ ኣብ በዓል ቻይና ገለ ዝግበር ነገር ጥራይ ከይኮነ ኣብ ብዙሕ ካልእ ዓድታት ከዓ ዝግበር ነገር እዩ ንምንታይ ሕጂ ኣብ ስደተኛታት ኣብ ዝኸድዎ ዓዲ ብዙሕ ዘይድለዩ ሰባት እዮም መብዛሕትኡ ግዜ ምሽ እቲ ዝመፅሉ ዘለዉ ዓዲ ኣይደልዮም እዩ እቲ ዝሃደምዎ ዓዲ ከዓኒ ኣይደልዮምን እዩ ንዑ ምክንያት ብኡ ምክንያት እቲ ናታቶም rights ማለት እዩ ከምዚ the government can infringe on their rights very easily right ምክንያቱም ማንም ሰብ ንዓኻ advocate ዝገብረልካ ሰብ የለን እቲ ተኣትወሉ ዘለካ ዓዲ ኣይደለካ ነቲ ዝሃደምካሉ ዓድኻ ኣይደለካ ስለዚ ንዓኻ advocate ዝገብረልካ ሰብ የለን ብኡ ምክንያት ብዙሕ ቴክኖሎጂ ኣባኻ experiment ክገብሩ ክእሉ እዮም so that's why many of harmful AI technologies that we don't yet see prevalent in other parts of society are first experimented on refugees. So for example, in the US, an organization called Mi Gente has done a lot of work mapping out what are the different ways in which refugees are being impacted by some of these systems. What are the different kinds of systems that are being used against refugees? So what you said about this scrambler system is really interesting. So one example that I gave you is Black Lives Matter ሰላማዊ ሰልፍ ክገብሩ ከለዉ ገጾም ብናይ ፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ገይሮም ዝረኽቦም ገለ ሰባት ሕጂ እንታዮም እቲኦም ሓንቲ ሰበይቲ ዝሰርሓቶ ሶፍትዌር እንታይ ዝገብር እቲ ኣብ ኦንላይን ወይ ኣብ ማሕበራዊ ሶሻል ሚድያ ኣፕሎድ ዝገበርካዮ ፎቶግራፍ ኣብኡ ውሽጢ እቲ ዘለዎ እቲ ናይ ሰብ ገጽ ዲቴክት ገይሩ ነቲ ገጽ ዝሽፍኖ software ሰሪሓ so you can kind of think that this is sort of like a scrambler system right because it takes a photo and it covers the face of the photo another example is it's people are working on this is research actually so people are working on like glasses that confuse a face recognition system so that when you wear the specific kind of glass the face recognition system can't recognize you but actually a more dangerous scrambler would be to create glasses such that the face recognition system identifies you as someone else exactly right so someone else could be arrested instead of you or something like that but a bunch of dissidents have also been using for instance Russian dissidents in Russia been using some makeup on their face which was specifically created to fool face recognition systems so that when you put on that makeup the face recognition system can't recognize you so you know every time somebody creates a way to oppress people the oppressed people also come up with something very creative to counteract it but it's not happening fast enough right I think people need to understand the I guess the prevalence of these things and I think they need to understand also the fact that especially on refugees it can be used without any sort of guardrails because nobody really cares about refugees there aren't people advocating for refugees they don't have as many rights as other people so I think people need to be aware of all of these things that can be used against them How come I don't see you anymore? I only see myself.
Yeah, I'm bringing you back. So as you speak, sometimes I enlarge you. Sometimes I've got like
Okay.
I'm trying to control.
I can't look. I can't just look at myself talking. I can't
Oh no! So if I,
like talking to a mirror.
No, like if I was going to share some, for example, like I can move things around. You know, like on the
Okay,
thing.
yeah, that's good. Okay.
But the good no. But the good thing is like as we're speaking, I was trying to find like an AI face recognition thing online and kind of share it as we talked.
Yeah.
Put it to you. I don't have a moderator.
I can share it with people. It's fine. Yeah. I can share it later on. You know, people can read up. I have a lot of things I can share. People can read up on. I kind of would like to write an article about this in Tigrinya. That's what I think I want to do. Actually, I haven't done that. or
we will
translate one of my articles.
we
Yeah.
will support that because it has been us example هبكي. For example, the opposition, right? Blue Revolution opposition. هنا خنسمعنا ندلي. We need brilliant minds, people like you, to kind of support us and be our voice, which you already have been. But the thing is, it's uh, different levels of intellect unable different level of education. Jahade, as in the his education level is in hello, as is able to تماخذ فرق خرد أخلي. التابز زلو بوزح يردوي. التابز زلو هاني سجاب زردو.
Oh, well.
كله كعنك فكاي نفسه كعنك في. There's a lot of things you deal with, right? So it is أجمع زلوس. معره نتهز بخطريات دليل بخبري برespect.
Oh, well.
ورا يحواتنا بحساب بخبرة كتريهم تدلي. But the reality is, you speak in AI, artificial intelligence, right? Many of them, robot alone, is it? Like I do not say robot alone. Magbisi stay robot ولا لا قبله.
جن حقهم يوم كأ.
تخكل. زي ردهم
Oh, well.
زلوجين نقابلنت أنا نسخن يحوات بأيو ناس ودو قلب زي مسانا زعابي دكتور كله كلهم. Eritrean ناس مسئلة عند هيرونا, like freedom. Eritrea freedom. Abraham what's you, Isaias what's you, Galamela what's you, dictator what's you. عدهم ما حضروا عند حلمنا. أنا نسخن تيام يحواتنا أبز السداد قال زعابيو constructions خلو قال زخلو أخيبانا أتو. It won't take us long نعدنا عن معبلة. how much huge change consider خلينا whether solar panel systems, technology, it's GDP not 2.5, 2.6 billion كله. Na Ethiopia 110 billion gross domestic product. So we can work to raise Eritrea to be the best under democracy and not affect any other countries. The only effect it will be is maybe commerce or trade or economic or ethnopolitics. You understand that. So they don't understand in 2024. How do you say that? أبو حجز كنا بصحون نخيلنا عدنا كن معبلان نخيلنا كنا ركبوا اللي كله نخيلنا جنس أجمنا زلوس تمنجست خلينا سلام سينا منجست خلينا دكتور برا هدي قال أبزي سان فرانسيسكو نوري أنا hospital كتسيب علي برجن زبي directors شمورس عيو نويلو size is it أجمع زلو what do you think about this كمي not good.
Well, so مجمع نجار this is ناي كله society أجمع مالت اتي sub اتي society كل وقت كغير زلو التكنولوجيا ده حارز مثلا انت عينة society كم تدري مسفلات كها التكنولوجيا كحق زكاة خل مكنياتهم ناي ساو كتشوفون انت دالي خها أني التكنولوجيا ناف كم وكتوع الوقت خليها. So if you want to oppress people, you can build technology to do that, right? كتامع بلون تدري خها نهم أزجبر technology كتسرح تخلي خا. سلازي, you know, in English, it's not technology is not a silver bullet, right? It's the society has to be in a certain place to have technology that helps, because it could be that the despots use technology to make it even harder to get democracy. So in Africa, you know, I was on Erisat a while ago, and I was talking, and someone asked me as part of the interview process, well, you can use drones. Sorry, I have a dog. Do you hear that or no? Do you hear the barking or no?
No, yeah, it's good. No problem.
Oh, you don't hear the barking? Okay.
We hear the barking, but what I'm saying is
fine.
it's not.
Okay.
Yes, fine. Yeah, I had 2 dogs myself.
Okay, so they were asking me about drones, and they said, okay, you can use drones for delivering medicine, or you can use drones for bad things. So what, you know, for good, for bad. But when you look at, when you think about technology, you always have to think about how it fits in the power structure. So in African dictators are buying drones to kill their own people. That's what they're doing. They're not buying drones to deliver medicine. They're starving their own people. And then they're killing their own people. So when you think about technology in that context, what it's doing is it is helping the dictator stay in power. And then other things they're doing, I don't know if you've heard about Pegasus, the Pegasus spyware. Um, it's one of the most successful spywares, right? And
Which is it? Pegasus?
Pegasus, right? Right.
Pegasus?
And so it was used against journalists in Morocco, it was used in Rwanda, and it is extremely expensive. You have countries who are not feeding their entire population, spending money, millions of dollars on spyware. So what we want to think about is how can we flip it? How can we have technology that is not enabling the despots, but that is enabling the people fighting against the despots? If you don't think about that context from the very beginning, you're just going to end up building technology that's enabling the despots. Do you see what I'm saying? So there is a book by this sociologist who, Simone Brown, who has the term surveillance. I think that's what she calls it. We have surveillance. That's the despots surveilling people, and we want to have technology that allows us to surveil the despots. So we want to build things that allow us to expose them rather than them kind of surveilling all of us. And so there's a term for that. So I'm thinking about, in my work, how I enable that rather than contribute to technology that the despots can use against us.
Okay. Now, Samalo? Yeah. Okay. So I was actually looking for the pigeon spyware and I was going to post it. Scanny. Let me see if I could find it. But I saw that and it's probably
Yeah.
not this picture, but you know about the pigeon spyware?
No, what is that?
No, not, it's not. I want a pigeon spyware. It's called pigeon, where they supposedly have these cameras on pigeon, and it could be conspiracy theorists and so on. Churu di hom tulom, churu birds. They send these pigeons, and they opened one pigeon and it had all this electronic equipment. I wish that,
Hmm.
and the lenses were recording, so they would perch in a tree and look inside government organizations, government, and they would copy what your computer or whatever is doing. Is that true? Like, is that true? Are we really that far advanced?
I have no idea about the pigeons. Like, I don't, I don't know. I'm not gonna, but I think that there are two issues. One is, whoa.
I don't know what.
Yeah, I think there's a
Oh, gift.
setting that like tries to detect your gestures with your hands and stuff and adds things. So two issues.
Oh, wow.
So one is that people are over reliant on things like face recognition, and it's very dangerous for two things. One, it's dangerous because you are over surveilling people, so people are getting watched everywhere they go. They can't have privacy. That's one. Number two, you make mistakes. It's a conspiracy theory. I don't know, but I'm talking about the thing I know. I don't know about the pigeons. Number two, it's um, that when you use face recognition and you assume it is 100% correct, you're going to override all of the things that you would do to make sure that the things you're doing, the people you're arresting, etc., are correct before you arrest them. So if you're using it on protesters, for example, there was an example in the US where they arrested this person and he wasn't even in the city of where the crime scene happened, but they arrested him because they said it was a match with face recognition, right? But he wasn't even in the city. They didn't even check his height or weight. Usually, if you didn't rely on face recognition, you would check someone's height or weight. You would check if the person was in the city. You would go through a bunch of different checks. But because this software is advertised as being able to be very perfect, you override all of those kind of questions that you would have asked. So that's very dangerous because people are getting arrested who are mistakenly identified as somebody else. This is very relevant to people in our communities because why? This kind of error, my research showed, right? My research showed with my colleague Joy Bulamini, a Ghanaian American person, that this kind of error happens more or on darker skinned individuals, not on light skin. So when you look at white men, this kind of error doesn't happen as much. When you look at darker skinned individuals, it happens more. They are also more likely to be over policed and surveilled. So this combination creates a dangerous situation in this kind of where we currently are, right, with people in our communities being over surveilled, but also mistakenly arrested, mistakenly, placed in various places where they weren't, and also they don't have any advocates because they're refugees. No refugees don't really have any advocates. So that's where we are right now. This is a reality. Now I don't know about pigeons, like no idea.
Right? So
No idea, but it could be like could be an experiment some government is running, who knows, like, but I know what is happening, what's being used. Many things are being used right now. Let me tell you some other thing that was being used, especially on refugees. They piloted and I think this might have been pulled off the market now, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come back, and I'm pretty sure some people have it. They piloted things that they consider to be automatic lie detection machines. So if I am asking for asylum, or I am having an interview, they have this face recognition kind of thing that they run on you, not face recognition, but automated facial analysis, that then also detects parts of your voice, analyzes your voice, and says whether you're lying or not. It doesn't work, right? It does not work. It is not real science. It's pseudoscience. But this is super dangerous for people in our community. So I don't think people understand the level to which technology is being used against our people. Now, I'm a technologist, I'm an engineer, I'm a scientist. I got into it because I want to build technology that helps people, not does this to us. But in order to do that, you have to understand the landscape right now and how it's being used against our own communities.
So, Dr. Timnit, another question for
Timnit.
Timnit. I have an issue with saying certain words, sorry. Dr. Timnit.
Timnit.
So let me ask you. So, do you think, obviously, of USA, some parts of Europe, technology is at a different level versus what we have at Adina. Abzi USA, Europe, galo zalo befla abzi movement, abzi opposition group natna, as a blue revolution galatria loch abzi حواتنا زقصروا زلو هارجيزس is your own higdef or supporters of the regime. They utilize tricks. Ana monetary governor. Now Abenet, I will give you an example. Hade, I know someone personally, but the translator utilize geru subkotorgumolu betigrina. هري أبتي بد فردي مسبت أحس كل زبالس نخال يروى تسأوي.
Yeah, I know that.
Up court system are low, up government groups are low, GS-14, Department of Defense, هدف infiltrated
everything. Yeah.
كله. هجنا عنان لس زلنا قال أبزي تقوم مقوام زلناس تحسب كلوس أبزي أنا بعلي court كيده. أبو تزي أمز ترجموز نبارو تيزبالكوا video tap in English. Tagachum, or what is it? It was, and they're both higdef. They're both higdef. How does
اتيوم زترجمو اب فرد بيت كتكيد كلا خاصني اتناف كاتبروز نبر كاب انجليزيا بانجليزيا بتغرينيا بانجليزيا سخاز بالكايوم نو بتغرينيا دخات زاريف كويس بانجليزيا بتغرينيا سخاز تزرب كايو ناب انجليزيا كترجمو كلو خصني تاجا جيجا نيرو مالتو حدا ينبرن
again
فليت يوم كان كم وزغبرو
ومالت حرك كتصيغ علي كاسرني يسعر نيرو تحرك العليوس كتصيغ علي even worse. Again it Danya, she's very smart. She said, wait a minute. Is it Tigrinat was Kale iti one words means two things comes in our English لحتيتاتو. وإلهم حرك زي like أنا أخذ فاعل زي أنا قريبا me too زي أخذ فاعل زي أنا
I heard you.
Yeah, crack. زي أنا قريب كت فاعل حلا example. تقرينا أنا ندحو زي الكوينس. It means I want to get rid of something, or if you use it in a sense of someone, you want to hurt someone. They try to keep flipping it. This cost them big. بحسد comes to قربوا تفليتهم. ሕጂ ተኣዳንያ እንታ ሓቲታ እዋ እንድሕር ከምዚ ኮይኑ እዚኦም ኮርድ ኣፖይንትድ ትራንስሌተር ኮይኖምስ ከመይ እዩ ኢላ ሓቲታ ኣነ ከዓ ልክዕ ኢለያ እዚ እቲ ፀገም ዘሎ ኣብ ኩሉ ኣትዮም ኣለዉ ኣብ ኣይንስ
أوه.
ኣብ ገለመለ ብኩልዮም
أوه.
ዝጫውቱና ዘለዉ ተረዲእኒ ሕጂ ንሕና ኣብቲ ናይ ናትኪ ስፔሻልቲ there is no system in place whether it's intelligence or science or computer the only way نحن خنقالس نخل بتنخلو and we come from different arenas right of school or education or whatever so in your perspective in the blue revolution for example I know you have your own way of moving and contributing to helping the Eritrean people how can we protect our brothers from ንኣብነት ሕዋትና ፀገም ረኺቦም ዘለዋ ኣብ ኤውሮፓ some people act like they're delayed ፍትሒ do crime so delayed ፍትሒ can catch the heat you know what I mean እሱታት ፀገመታት ኣለዉ we were thinking እዚኦም ድሕር ትምህርቲ ኣለዎም why don't they use the satellite or face recognition to see who's really doing the crime but they're not willing to invest that kind of money
that's what I'm saying, you know, it's hard because they can use face recognition is not necessarily accurate, first of all, right? That's what I mean. You can't, and if you start going that route, they can also use recognition. So I don't really think that's the way. I don't really think face recognition is the way, because face recognition is mostly used against like our people right now. That's generally how it's going, and I do worry that if people start doing that, then because it's also not accurate, it's also you don't want to have innocent people being caught for something they didn't do. In the Eritrean network, many times, and correct me if I'm wrong, people know who's who. People know. I like, the people say I'm like agama galamane, but the people in the government, they know who I am for real. They probably know my family, know my tree and everything, but this is the culture, right? You have to recite 7 generations and this and that, people know who is who. So I think that it's not necessarily the information that is missing. It's the resources, the galvanization, the documentation, and it's hard to fight against a full time. Everybody, the government is stealing people's money and using it for all of this kind of repression. So it's hard to fight against someone who's doing this full time with lots of resources and lots of time. And so that, I think that is the problem, right? And regardless of what I'm seeing right now, I think over time, the Eritrean opposition, it's like self-cannibalizing. It's just kind of, but regardless of that, I have seen a difference in now versus 5 years ago versus 10 years ago of how vocal people have been. So that's a big difference. That's a big progress and big momentum that needs to be built, because it's very difficult to do this to everyone. If everyone's speaking up, it's very difficult for them to target individuals. So I think that documentation and trying to build up evidence is key. And I think usually people know who's who. That's not really I think the thing that we're missing, in my opinion. And there was another point I wanted to make that I completely forgot. So that's okay. Forgive me. I wanted to make another point. I think people need to keep the eye on the prize. One of the issues I see, in infiltration of different movements, it's not the first thing to happen. It's not, the Eritrean movement is not the first thing to happen too. It's a well-known thing. There is a movement here. This adversary looks at all of the different fault lines. What do I need to say about you to discredit you to people? What do I need to say to that person so that you start fighting together? This is a well-known tactic that has gone on. And so I think what people should do is study these things, really understand historically how this has happened, so that they don't fall for it, so that people keep the eye on the prize, right? So that's more of what I'm thinking about, right? And I know there's so many people suffering in silence because there's all these people getting harassed and intimidated. Some people are more high profile, some people are less high profile, but I think if everybody speaks up, it becomes more and more difficult for them to target individuals.
Absolutely, brilliantly stated.
Oh, and you said something about satellite internet. Is there a way for our people in Eritrea to use? Sorry, I'm just seeing
yeah, that was my next question.
Satellite. Okay, so let me satellite in general. I know that, for instance, during the war in Tigray, when there was a blockade, a communication blockade, some journalists used satellite images to do some sort of analysis to show that there were sites that were burnt, refugee camps that were burnt, etc. And I think this is possible. I think there is an organization that's called Forensic Architecture, which is a great organization that's doing something like this for Gaza. So I think that we can use technology to help expose different kinds of things that the government is doing, that the Eritrean government is doing. I think that is possible. So journalists have used satellite imagery to show sites of places they burnt down, things like that, and I think more of that could be done. In terms of satellite, satellite imagery. No, satellite phones. I think that there are certain. I actually looked into this a while back, but I think that there are certain options that could be put on the table. I don't really think Starlink is the Elon Musk one, is it? I think there is a bunch of issues with the orbit, where it's going to orbit, how expensive it is, and things like that. And I think there are other potential options.
Excellent analysis. So, furthermore, like I know you mentioned a few points. Entirely maslaki. Well, first of all, Hare Shih Shawatami Susan Hawishton Sub are tuning in, just so you know. You're almost
okay. Hello.
Almost 2,000 people.
It's fine. Somebody told me Agama means fruitful. I didn't know that. I mean, it's an actual location, but apparently, I don't know. But I'll check. But
hard working.
I'll wear it with pride. It's fine.
Absolutely. Agama is hard working, prosperous people. Boy, ember is mangist is a maharam nonsense you. Is balu komo khud sarf kola sab abay hangolu what level balu is yaka.
Salam Natiom Hajj joins Gawaru.
Yeah, almost
nice to meet you.
شير قبروها باليوتيوب توزي انا ديليت فتح يوتيوب بمساحتهم بتويتر بفيسبوك ريلوز يوتيوب كنا عبيان فتنا لنا بالدكتور اذا حطوا زلات الناس
نمنتاينا بيوتيوب تاع بعد اللي خا فيسبوك تويتر الناس لاز ابي كم زخايت زلو سلات ريو زال خاديو
او اتس اقام زلوس ازي ناي ديليت فتحي example حجي ناتي يوتيوب نحمجهم if I'm skewed like people should be allowed to speak what's in their heart as long as it's respectful. Again, if I go to say, let's say someone else's YouTube that has an agenda, then I can I'm limited.
Oh, so you don't want to do because you have your own YouTube channel. You're trying to
the Blue Revolution. We need our own voice, our own YouTube channel. We can't just be dependent on people who have certain ideologies to push narratives for us, right? Again, this YouTube is for all Manase, Dr. Gele, it doesn't matter. Come say what you want as long as it's respectful. One question for you, Abzi, example. We say no to Tigray genocide. Yeah, Abaya. Hiji mabzahati Eritrean low delayed fatiham zuluhi. Gin it delayed fatihum it doesn't make sense because for me, being raised in the diaspora in USA, getting an education, galamele, wala insisas freedom easily. Even animals want freedom. Hiji, and it's come Eritrean. Tagari yuhwatna bhama alone hilams. I cannot for the life of me understand Slam Tayum وقت منجستي حما يمهرومي بزعابة تقارو تسألاتكم قال يبلون جن بعلو خاطر منجستي مستقارو سرح زنبري منجستي تقراي مالتي تقارو زي هونس منجستي تقراي حجي نعور رابحة خلوه دلاي قبر نحنا جين إزيوم كمان از مسلو تقرينا كمان از زاربو يحوات ناس يموتلو نحن ناس يبلو that's like the breaking point ولا تمتو أنتي ناس بلوس أبو يفعل ليو إذا هذا عبيد نجار هذا أرسيس بطعمي تأجم شجر تفترنا زلا أنا حجي تقاري حواتي قبل أسبوع تأجم يبلين لبيس لي يبلين ولا حنتي ولا مستقار الدويلة بسلامة صار في أسبوع أنت حيت أقومه ولا أنا أحب يمزهر مخي شير جراس إذا تقراويتي أي تعد ما يبلوني أجر ما
ግን ትግራዊቲ ምኻ እንታይ ሽግር ኣሎ ስኮ ዘ ሓደ ሰባት እንታይ ይብሉኒ ከም ዝጋብ ይብሉ ንምንታይ ዘይትነግሪዮም በቦይ ጋላበት ንምንታይ like why should I that means I am giving them oxygen that means that when they say I'm from Tigray I should be ashamed I should be saying no don't you dare say that about me and I don't want to give that oxygen I don't know I think ተሐጅ ዝበልካዮ እንዴ ኣነ ንምንታይ ካልኦሳቶም ከም ገለ ንምንታይ ኣብ ከም ዝገብሩ ኣብ ውሽጦም ስለዘይለኹ ክነግረካ ይክእልኒ ግን ኣነ ክገብሮ ዝኽእል እንታይ እዩ I can just advocate for what I think is true on my platform that's all I can do እቶም ካልኦት ሰባት ድሓር at some point እሳቶምን ሓሳቦም ይቕይሩ ኾኑ እንዴ ንሓሳቦም ክቕይሩ ከዓኒ ዘድልዮም ኢንፎርሜሽን ዘድልዮም ፋክትስ ክንህቦም ንኽእል ኢና ግን ንሕና ገለ ነገር ክንርኢ ከለና ሕማቕ እንተኾይኑ ዝኾነ ሰብ ይግበሮ እዚ ክግበር የብሉን ኢልና ክንዛረብ ኣለና እምበረይ ንምንታይ ሓደ ሰብ ገለ ሕማቕ ነገር ክገብር ከሎ ስኢና እቲ ካልእ ሰብ ክገብር ከሎ ከዓኒ ሕማቕ ክንብል የብልናን ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ዝነብር ዘለኹ ናይ ኣሜሪካ ሲቲዘን ኣሜሪካ ሓደ ሕማቕ ነገር ክገብር ከላ ከዓኒ ከምኡ ኢለ ዓው ኢለ ይዛረብ ስለዚ ኣብ ዝኾነ ሰብ ዝካየድ ከምዚ ዓይነት ከምቲ ናይ ትግራይ ዝረኣናዮ ነገር ከዓኒ ስኢልካ ከተሕልፎ ዘለካ ነገር ኣይኮነን ኢለ እየ ዝኣምን so you know I don't like to speculate on why people do what they do I don't know you know but I can only do what I do that's all and I think it's not good to give oxygen to things I think people need to be careful what to give oxygen to just you know focus on for me what do I want to focus on I want to focus on the fact that there is a genocide in Tigray that people are starving things need to change that's it people want to come attack me for stuff I don't need to give oxygen to that I don't need to analyze why they're doing it or not and then if people want to focus on transnational repression stopping that's the thing to focus on that's it everything else is a distraction so I think that people need to be focused on what it is the goal that we want to achieve with anything and just focus on that the insults the infighting the all of the others that's a distraction you know and so I think that's how I see it so there's a lot of things I just don't give oxygen to and that because there's limited time you know a lot of things to work on and so you know I don't know when they do that and I think it's this kind of hate needs to be undone but you know it probably will take time and all you can do is just not give that oxygen
no تخكل بنيام هاوي زقرمكاس زي
announce kero ndi tamali you can announce kero
sorry
Eritrean style announcement
انت كابيت ما هي مسلك I know I had 1 week مش كزرقه but they told me that it has been as يرسع إلهمني you have to do it the day prior every two but you know I'm a big fan so obviously you're going to come back and we're going to beg you to come back and I know you will because we're respectful we just want the best for our people again as a one point in Zamsahos has been as nunopsu walap to delay to cannibalize you go እሳት ጸገመ ይዘላ እዚነ ህዝብናሁ ቆርቦ ይፍትን ምሽ በዚ መጾም በዚ ዓጾ ሕጂ ኣነ ኣብ ሕልምታት ኣለኒ እናታይ ሕልምንታይ ከም ናይ ኣቦይ ሕልሚ እዩ ነዚ ህዝብናስ ኣኪበስ በሓንሳብ ገርስ ባንክ አካውንት ከፊትና ነዚ ድለይ ትፈትሒ $5 each month ኩላህና ዋጺና ይሕዋትና ክእሰሮ ከሎ ብጥቃሲ ካብኡ ነውፅእ ተሰማምዒና እዚ ክሰርሖ ግን ሓደ ኣምኖኒ ውድብ ነቲ ውድብ ኣይተኣምና ነገለ always نعنكح ترح يزقط مكان سقور تيجود أكامش So you don't want to قال شو خد قرأي تدلني خا. So نفس خا خوف تبل جيني بالعكاي. What أنا potential على الناس أبيك بتصحمس أيردعون نيلز يبويه. ترديكي إتي أمساي أنا خبر كل خوس إتي أمساي زلو. I have a big backing of brilliant people like you, and I'm just the voice, right? And حلم لني أعمل لني كسر حالي خلني because بخلو سلازع صواني بخلو سلازع قام كم تحسبس and how to get this كاسيلكا داويد كيت كاسيلكا. So I don't know كم زيتات نعقي قد ما كدي قد ما you get ما كدي, or do you feel like sometimes you can't really serve your people your full potential because you know حجي أنا نحيلك أنا نسخن bank account كفيتنا نهزبنا هامش تقول شيخ فيلم board نسرح لك board مسرت let's create a board مهورات كاتة الوزو قالوا كنزي أكيبنا إلى monthly زحبروا أنا تهزبي had a group ماتيو حمل كجبرناي. This is the problem. So قرب to what it crab pot effect. What do you think?
Well, okay, so let me just say I went against the, one of the most powerful companies in the world. So
Yeah, no.
I have some experience with organizing, and it happens in many different kinds of contexts in organizing. ስለዚህ أنا كم تزبالكو قدم focus can each person can focus on a specific thing and kind of do their best in that thing. So that's what I try to do. I try to do my best in the thing that I think I can contribute in, and that's it. And I also think that it's very good in a very let's say to build coalitions. So the opposition might not agree on everything, but there might be things that most opposition agree on or everybody agrees on. Then people can galvanize around those specific things and make sure to keep the movement or conversation focused on that specific thing. Because then even if people disagree with each other on other things, they will still agree on that specific thing. So for example, if it's stopping transnational repression, maybe everybody agrees on that, regardless of whether the opposition agrees with different tactics or not, because all movements have had splinters. This is not new to the Eritrean movement. So many different movements disagree with each other and cannibalize each other. So even if people don't agree on everything, there might be one issue or two issues that everyone can galvanize around them, So, and then I just feel there's like, besides that, I don't have any kind of solutions. I feel your pain, and sometimes we don't deserve many people that we get, and that does happen to many people, and that happens to a lot of people who have sacrificed a lot for their people, and they get too much hate, they get burnt out, they stop, and we don't deserve those people. And so I think for us, we have to think about how we treat everyone. We have to think about how we treat each other, because we keep on burning people out. And that's just a reality of movements in general.
You pretty much spoke my language. You know exactly where I'm at now, and that you know what keeps me going, doctor, is when I see people like you, Kamahe Misrahu, so you have nothing to gain, nothing to gain, but everything to gain, right? So in a sense of so Haji, you're a voice for your people, right? Not only are you a voice for Eritreans, you're a voice for Tigrayans, just like me. So when I see someone at your level doing that, it keeps me in the fight, just so you know. That's why it's an honor to have you, because when just when you're about to give up, I see someone like you. I'm like, she's still in there. So obviously, you know what I mean? I need to be in there. Malatu. So that's
But
why
take
we.
care of yourself. It's a long game. So
Well,
people say it's a marathon. It's a marathon. كم وندي زبال مش بحدا معلتي بخطها معلتي زقبار يكون ببزوح عمتات زقبار نقص لزقنا نعها. You should take care of yourself, and everybody needs to do the same, and each other. Remember, there's a human behind whoever you're talking to, right? It's a human who's burnt out, most likely, as all Eritreans are burnt out. So
So do you
Yeah.
think in the future, I know one question حليفنا كلهم زحتوا زلوز
Hmm.
كم يقرنا إنا دكتور is it a satellite of Eritreas كم يقرنا
ከመይ ገና ንኣተዋ ሓደ ነገር ክነግረካ እቲ ከምኣ ዓይነት ፕላን ክትፈጥር እንተደሊኻ out in the open ከምዚ ኩሎም ዝርእዩኻ ቦታ ክነግሮም ኣይኮንካን ትደሊ. So I think that's one thing people in the opposition need to realize, right?
يوم هو
ኩሉ ነገር ኣብዚ ዝዝረብ ኣይኮነን ምሽ
so ሕጂ ኣነ ኣብዚ ናይ first special forces I was serving at the Washington State مش ولا up to Ranger Battalion أعدي خينا إزاي at the lowest level أعدي خينا أنت هنا قبرنا we have handheld we have FM radios right frequency hop we have line of sight radios not the airplane point قبرة when I would do the airborne operations قال or وق قال and then we had special satellite dishes and we set them down مش and we had radon radios types bricks and we're able to utilize the satellite to connect now kala addi whether it's for a certain amount of times frequency hop so it does not track Morse code galamela yiradaki but we were able I never really understood the science and technology behind it but you would plant the little satellite thing and boom we would talk to whoever we need to talk to. Why can't the opposition in Eritrea, if we are able to organize them, why can't we be at that level? Why can't we be at that level?
I think that people might underestimate how much smuggling in, how much keeping infrastructure, all of that requires people to really sacrifice their lives. So, you're asking people to do a lot. So it takes a lot of first, it takes a lot of coordination, and then it takes a lot of people really putting themselves out there, which some of them have done. You've seen, the footage, some of the footage that people took in the prisons and things like that, and that takes a lot of. We know what kind of sacrifice they had. It was for them to risk that. So it's not just about the existence of the technology. It's also about whether it would work in that setting and also what it takes to set it up, to keep it alive, to keep it operational.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
and
everyone.
It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of dedication as in planning, follow through, finding different groups, and all of that. It's a many year kind of thing, not like a one-time thing. So I think that's what it is. It's not just the existence of the technology. It's also, how to have many different groups and that would risk their lives to make it happen.
No, يتصبح حرحونا خمنا بإرترا نروح جو تمليسو بوزح أجمعات قتيمو نرو and أنا either crazy or brave Leo because you put yourself in a situation that cuts entitled to the outcome but look thank God he made it. I know I don't even know how much time you have. I just want to keep it less than an hour and a half just in case.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then bring you back another day because we're all hungry for your brain and knowledge. So I mean, there's a lot of questions, obviously, right? I mean, I'm trying to
okay.
Yeah, there's a pre-prepared questions. Sub kadulu zidaliu messenger herdawilkum. أنا فاتكم بكم messenger captain Eritrea or I don't know but YouTube كم يقدر do I'm new to YouTube حرسب حطو حطو scanning the number of proceedings continue to increase even in the autumn. The investigators had assumed around 180 investigative proceedings after the riots but then the AI and so-called recognizers were also used, i.e. people are particularly good at recognizing faces on video recording. The investigation meticulously was that yours?
Sounds like what? No, I'm trying to understand what I was. This article is on a list. It's a German article, right? I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna read it. But who sent this to you? Someone sent this to you?
Yeah, they're trying to, so I can understand what the question is, but it says I guess AI was used numerous. Yeah, I think AI is
Yeah,
prevalent, right? So it's
this is
used
what
to.
I'm trying to say. So I think I don't believe that they got everything correctly. I don't believe that they're so-called super recognizers. I don't believe any of it. So I'm gonna I'm gonna read the article.
So you being in this, now you got your own business, obviously, right? Now, is there a way when dealing with AI, you guys don't deal with prosthetic limbs or anything like that, do you?
No.
Okay, hold on. I got a phone call. Oh, we got so many phone calls right now. Okay, I'll put you. Oh, sorry, Philly. I picked it up. You didn't answer. I will call you now.
لا أخذهم زحته. Oh.
Philly, Allah salam.
سلام كابتن أنت حتو تحت أمريكا يا بهورن يا مثلا ولا نيوز ناي غازيتا ناي جيرمان سمعنا
هو تقول أنا سمعت له قلت إيش حساب سمع له
I guess engineer تمنيت سلام فلامات thank you كبرتي حاولنا
آمين
زلكي فتت كت شاركت قبل مسانا we know you so we follow you in Twitter too so thank you كما غاية عينت كم زعينت سبسرحة بالحي لونا we are proud of you
thank you
كله ولا زكاة ما كجلا أبو نيوز follow قبرك personally yeah
تملسك لا فيليس كاجين سمعت خاني غاب إذن يسلزلا that's it
okay yes
تسمع له
okay I سمعني أبتنا جرمن أقاطعمي كيس كفيتهم لما لون وزهات حوات مالتي أنت قبرهم نيرم أبتنا جيسن فلما فيلم قبرهم نيرم فيديو نيرم مالتي سكت ولا أي صورهم ولا أي بلوم أجي قال يوم رجعت أبيلو قال ينكا نتي قال سقوسلي لهم سكت مستي كوبريت قبرلو مالتي تمل يوم أجي كابتي ريكوردين يوم بتي أي كستاجيرهم من كرايم جيرو وي من كستاين إنفستيجيت كبر دليو كم جيرهم تي أي تكمل زلو just زي معرخ ندي تي accuracy نايتي كستاين معرخ نديو even بحكس لازم زلو إذا لوموديو نعم نتاب جرمن دحري أفضل عليك لوموديو تي تكنولوجي زي introduce ديو أبحكس كان تخاتي عنا خنا بقولون خلينا سعرلو زكالو مجد تثمنيو زي الكاتب ذي thank you
okay thank you Philly هواي
اوكي ازي ارتكل جنا ينببكم لازي كم ببيان بديتيل كفلتهم انت هم زقبرو جن تزبلكايو ريكورد مقبار بفيس ريكوجنيشن متقام قال ملا اب جيرمان لمود يكون اكون يفلطني بزعبا جيرمان لازي كم ببلو لني مالتيو اب امريكا ግን كمو خغبرو خمس جمرو فلطي كمو غيروم كاني كندي سبات بجيجا كم زأثرهم كأفلتين حجي حدا article على أنت خلينا أبزي chat على drop كقبل الكات article
yeah if you can or email me أبزي chat أبزي نايك
okay
yeah say or however we communicate if you want to use that
let me just see 1 second
our method of communication
hands up نزي أكره خبامك ألتفا أنت راخبة يا ألتفا أنت راخبة يا حجي بزح article سالو زي حجنا أبنات حدا لو زي بزعبا حدا سبعي بفيس recognition تغيرو زتأثرة حدا article أبزي أغير الكال له بزح اللوغن بزح أبناتات اللو كم زي أب أمريكا إمو حجي أبزيحهم كم أخطق أملو جميلهم يوم
where did you send it where did you send it
I just sent it on the private chat like I can do on the comments
oh our private chats can you
there's yeah okay so did you see it private chat or I can send it into the comments maybe
okay private chat let me open it
okay so anyways ده حركة صدوها إخلي قل كم زي عينت record جيروم أب كم تزبالكم أب على السلامة يسلف قلملا record جيروم بفيس recognition من أبو خمسة لو كفلتو مفتان السو بزح جزي استجابرنا جاريو ده حركة أنا حدا سبات كم تزبالكو قد محجي بفيس ريكوجنيشن ገይሮም مسللዎም እቲ ምስ ናይ ሶሻል ሚዲያ ኣካውንቶም ገይሮም ከዓኒ የተሓሕዝዎ ማለት እዩ ብዛዕባ እቲኦም ዘለልዎም ሰባት ዝበለፀ ኢንፎርሜሽን ክረኽቡ ምእንታን ካብኡ ኢንፎርሜሽን ክረኽቡ ዳታ ክረኽቡ ምእንታን እሞ ከምዚ ናይ ምግባር ነገር ሕጂ ብዙሕ ከምዚስ ብዙሕ ሕጂ እንዳተገብረው ግን እቲ አኩራሲ ማለት ማዕረ ክንደዩ ከምቲ ዝበልኩኹም especially ኣብ ኣፍሪካውያን especially ኣብ ጻዕዱ ይበዝሕ እቲ አኩራሲ ኣብቲኦም ኣብ ጸለምቲ ከም እቲ አኩራሲ ብዙሕ ከም ዘይኾነ ናይ ባዕለይ ናተይ ሪሰርች ከማን ኣርእዩሎ እሞ ኣወላ ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ከማነ እቲኦም ከምዚ ብስሕተት ብፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ተገይሮም ዝተኣስሩ ሰባት ኣብ ፍርድ ቤት ከይዶም ሱ ገይሮም ኣለዉ ንፖሊስ ኣብ ዲትሮይት for example ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ሕጂ ከምኡ ሱ ክገብሩ ከሎ ናተይ ሪሰርች ክስታይ ገይሮም ከማን ነይሮም ተጠቂሞም ነይሮም ከም ማስረጃ ምክንያቱም ትናትና ሪሰርች ከምዚ እቲ አኩራሲ ብዙሕ ከም ዘይኾነ ስለንፈልጥ ግን እቲ ናትና ሪሰርች ስፔሲፊክሊ እቲኦም ፖሊስ ዝጥቀሙሉ ፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ኣይኮናን ዝረኣና ብጀነራሊ ናይ ርኢናዮ ስለዚ ሕጂ እዚኣቶም ኤግዛክትሊ እንታይ ዓይነት ሲስተም ከም ዝተጠቐሙ ስለዘይፈልጥ ናታቶም አኩራሲ እንታይ ክንደዩ ኣይኮነን ክፈልጦ ኣይክእልኒ እንታይ ዓይነት ቴስት ከም ዝገበሩ ከዓኒ ኣይንፈልጥን ኢና ስለዚ ንዑ ሁሉ ሪሰርች ክንገብር ኣለና ማለት እዩ ግን ሞር ጀነራሊ ከምዚ ዓይነት ሲስተም ብዙሕ ስሕተት ከም ዘለዎ especially ኣብ ኣፍሪካውያን ብዙሕ ስሕተት ከም ዘለዎ ዝተፈልጠ ነገር እዩ ብሪሰርችና ዘረኣናዮ ነገር እዩ ኣብ ብዙሕ ካልእ ብሚድያ ከዓኒ ካቨር ዝተገብረ ነገር እዩ ኣብ ካልእ ሴቲንግስ ኣብ ካልእ ዓድታት ኣብ ዓዲ እንግሊዝ ቅድሚ ብዙሕ ክንደይ ዓመት እዩ 2-3 ዓመት ከምኡ ዓይነት ክስታይ ከም ዝገብሩ actually let me tell you there is a documentary called Coded Bias okay this is about my collaborators work Coded Bias it's on Netflix Coded Bias do you want to pull it up
Coded Bias
Coded Bias yeah pull it up this talks the documentary Coded Bias talks about this face recognition and the inaccuracies and the issues so ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ብዙሕ ቃልሲ ንፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ፖሊስ ከይጥቀሙ ምእንታን ዝተጀመረ ብዙሕ ቃልሲ ኣሎ ምክንያቱም ከም ትበልኩኻ ከምዚ ዓይነት ሽግር ስለ ዘሎ ሕጂ ንኣብነት ናትና ሪሰርች ምስ ወፀ ቅድሚ 2018 ናትና ሪሰርች ምስ ወፀ ድሕሪኡ ዝተፈላለየ ከተማታት ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ዘሎ ናይ ፖሊስ ፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ከይጥቀሙ ባን ገይሮሞም ሕጂ ንኣብነት ኣብ ሳን ፍራንሲስኮ ባን ተገይሩ ኣብ ኦክላንድ ባን ተገይሩ ኣብ ሳመርቪል ማሳቹሴትስ ባን ተገይሩ ኣብ ዝተፈላለየ ካልእ ከተማታት ከማን ባን ተገይሩ ኸውን ኣብ ናይ EU AI Act ናይ European Union AI Act ናይ ፌስ ሬኮግኒሽን ሕጂ ስፔሲፊክሊ እቲ ክላስ ክሪኦ ግን ኣብ ናይ ሃይ ሪስክ ነገር ከምዚ ዓይነት ነገር ቅድሚ ምጥቃሞም ስኒ I'm looking at sorry ሓደ ሕቶ ኣለኹ anyways እቲ ቅድሚ ምጥቃሞም ኣብ ከምዚ ዓይነት ሃይ ሪስክ ነገር ስኒ ነቲ አኩራሲ እንታይ ከም ዝኾነ ገለ ክንፈልጥ ኣለና so anyways ነቲ አርቲክል ስለዘንበብኩ እንደገና አንቢበ ጽቡቅ ገይረ አናላይዝ ክገብረ ግን ቅድሚ ምንባቤ ዘለኒ ሓሳባት እዚዩ
Okay, let me see. Is that a coded bias?
Yes, Coded Bias.
Okay. Is that a Netflix style? It's a Netflix film or is it a documentary?
Documentary. It's a documentary.
What is this about then?
This is about the things I was just talking about. It's about face recognition, the bias in face recognition, how it doesn't work on darker skinned people, especially darker skinned women, the journey of, my collaborator Joy in working on that research that I just talked about, which is our research, and how her journey in working on that research. And so I think I think it would be educational for people to look at it. And I'm gonna read the article and learn that was shared and read more about what the Germans are doing. But I don't like it.
Nazi نحزي رأخهم coded bias 2020 documentary thriller. Here, let me pin قبرلكم قربتين حكتوا مهارو دوليكم سبب بخمزة سرزلو كنا انتاي بوينت هارم كي أنا أستوعي لا زلوز سب حبر زلو تسلمتي قال ملي بتعمل تارجت يقولنا له إذا حجي by default ديو نعنا ديم داليوم why am نتسلمت always targets يقولنا ولا بتناي music industry أبزخوني industry internet قال ملي نتسلمت brilliant تسلمت له ما تيوم كسرحو قالوا خلو always كفرو سوي مسرحو لألي never أبتزل على achievement I didn't هبونيو why تسلمت target why do you think بناتك assessment
Well, it's racism. Simple.
حجي كموتب لغلخس إتي system دي racism ولا إتي ما لعلو زلو
Systemic racism, right? Yeah. نحجي بزعوا immigrants كزاربو كلو بزعوا إرترايان بزعوا Ukrainian كم يجرون كزاربو. Just see the difference. Yeah.
It's really sad. أنتي بس أزيز حجي Rwanda genocide in Palestina. We know Rwanda genocide, which is sad. Again, حجي العلي Rwanda genocide قصريتات مزبوطة when it goes beyond Rwanda genocide, and then after the genocide, there's famine. I've noticed, for example, of Israel or of the other war, Ukraine. Media attention, billions. You got to hit America. Come on, have trillions of قراءات يلا. بزعبة Ethiopia, بزعبة Eritrean, zero, nothing. ولا humanitarian aid. زجر ما نخاب كله. What really, what puts me in disbelief.
Yeah.
I personally, subject matter expert in cargo delivery, airplane parachutes, مش.
Yeah.
Is some of Israel type of Palestine. بكارغو بيرشوك صدلهم كلو مقبس سب مويتم كلت السب قال مويتم يعني قدن كز heavy to cargo مش نحنا في هورن اوف افريكا بجاهم ولا سدودلنا زخون السب كبلع جن حنت جزينا بانا يتموتون كم انسسار يمزل إنا geopolitically سلا حاصلة زي ولوم ديو انتهي.
I mean, I just have to tell you, it's systemic racism. كلا حدش نجار دبلو نجار إلا مكنياتهم إذا خاني نا Eritrean opposition نحن حلهم ولا Eritrean opposition Eritrean وتجارو Eritrean وإثيوبيا من قال خمو نحن لهم كزاربو كله تيوم كالوت كاني نعنا خمي جيرهم كم زريونا كم فلت قالونا مكنياتهم كلاتنا حدينا نعتاتهم. They don't care. oppositionها قاليها تجاريها إرترايها إثيوبياها قاليها أمحاريها أوروميها نعتاتهم it doesn't matter Africa عندنا now African immigrants and then بزعبا إرترايان كم يجيرون كزاربو كلا خطري كلا هاني نعتاتهم ناي third world tribal قلملا أبزم اليوم صلالو قلملا خم إلهم يوم زاربو سلازي زي حدش نجار يكونن كاب قدم زنبرة نجاريو سلازي نحنا نحد حدا ناي بعنا سب advocate انتزي غيرنا خاني انتزي ريوم نحنا خماني advocate نقبر انتزي ريومنا انتاي مسجنا نعتاتهم نسدد زلنا أنا خمان بزعبا ناتي سوات انتزي تزاريبا استخاتكم you shouldn't care كم إلي زنقروم زلخو مالتي مش كا اتيوم prominent زخونو حجينا أمنت إثيوبيا اتيوم prominent زخونو إثيوبيا كتر يوم كلها اتيوم بستفلتو actors أب international كستايز راخبو famous زخونو actors و models و قلملتات كتر يوم كلها بزعباتي وقع حدا نقرا يبلون نسو كله سب زتودعلو وقع حدا نقرا يبلون الساتهم كمو عينة message كسدو كلو خاني تيوم كالوتني منتاي why should we care لو نزعبنو سلازي I mean بزعوانا بزوح كالا سب since they don't care we have to advocate for ourselves. You know, because nobody else is going to do that for us.
Absolutely, and it's long. This has been going on for a very long time, and it's sad. What the hell was Allah? هو مسحفنا تمنت سلازله. تمنيت لازله دكتور تمنيت أبزين حتى لكات أجمع سمعك الله.
تمنيت okay. First of all, thank you guys. بتعمي appreciate بتعمي تصبح صراحة تبو مدب السوق ما بدي جزع عوكم بمردعكم نعنا أغلنا يوم مسانا متيوم رئيسك خمسنا أنا حاتيتهم كان أنا زي مسلو اليوم دحن ولا حنتي جزية وعلو كفر يومين تانكي وندابلكو نتمنيت حنتي حتى لدي أثناتي ناي برسنال ناتي
سجام يلن
يعني أنت خبر لي تمنيت كم زعد زعب أبزي وتزعب في كم كله تي حقتات نايتي نايزي معربة ويا علم تفلتيو زي برجن حمل ويك عز دلاي فتحي ريفولوشن تبقي سوزولو بخمي عينت من قدي انت خلي عوتي الكتحاسبي.
That's a very big question.
عابي حتو كبير حتو هم ياتوم أنا theoretically I'm always in favor of strategic non-violence.
He doesn't understand. No, because it's nice as a lot could do he's got a list. Yeah.
Okay, كعاد أقوله مش كرينا من أنت نعطيه خسائر.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
ناتي مالسين تايو. In theory أنا non-violent strategic movement زدالي. In theory because نحزبنا هماني نتي أمزك على سوسالو هماني نحيواتهم كبالا شو عيدلني. جن in practice سلازي مجمريا. كال كأني coalition build كنجبرالونا. أنتي مالتي مستيهم كالوت سوات كمناتنا عينت شجر زلوهم و not necessarily Eritrean كمخونو عليون منو. بزحات سوات هالو مس بتناي منجستهم ذيكونو سوات ولا أب diaspora خوينهم كمان كم زجاج أمم سوات هالو مس كالوت movements كأني كستخن جبرا نخلينا تيوم هدف تاريخيهم استفاد على تكتيك يزلوهم. أوكي حجي أب سوشيال ميديا قال بتقرنيا يسألفوها بتقرنيا قال نجار بلوها بإنجليزيا زبلوها يفللوا بإنجليزيا بزعبا pan Africanism كمزة colonialism قال يزاربو ده حرب بتقرنيا خاني نتسلمتي بتاعي كم races هون هنا قريبلو. These are different tactics. بيستفعل على movement infiltrate كيرو مالو. حجي I'm not هاتهم level كسم مهاد زدلي أي مثلاً إنه حجي حدا جزء عمنا نحد نيرتران دليتي فتحي زرقو زربا تعرفي قال زيد اللي مالت I think up to topic focus كنجبرانونا كل جزء بزعوا نزاربو topic أبو focus كنجبرانونا. سلازي أنا مثلاً strategy زد اللي مثلاً جن كأني I know that what MLK said that riot is the language of the unheard. So it's hard to say that knowing the kind of pain and anger that the youth have, and I feel that anger, I feel that rage, and I would like the intellectuals to see that anger and see that rage and hear the youth. But I think that more strategy, more coalition building, more focus on the questions that everybody in the movement could agree on. Maybe تي ولا أب كل نجار أنت زي تسمع معهم أب توسنا نجارات توسنا goals كسمع من أخوهم سوات مش أب كم أتات فوكاس مجرد كم مثلني yeah I don't know but I don't have a silver bullet. We are still dealing with the issues that we're dealing with and so it's hard for me to lecture people who are in a lot of pain. But I think that it's important to stay focused and not stoop to the level of different personal attacks and things like that. I think it's very important to stay focused.
Absolutely. Hantinet بزعبة أنا أنتي زريزة اللي هوس كم تعزبل كيا. For example, when we go to Clubhouse, right? Me, I'm open to anyone. For example, I want to see what the mindset of people are. كم أخبر كله جين. حجين تفني حارش زي يعد معي because I know she's raised here أبزعبيا right جنتي أتح حسبان أتاس brainwash them جرما لجنزب ده تسرح زلا I want to know مش so I bring her and a lot of people don't like that because she speaks English, it's easier for me to communicate. So,
Yeah.
but I noticed one thing. When they get someone like Tiffany or someone on their side and they try to make them believe in the Isaiasm equals Eritreanism nonsense, because Eritrea is not about Isaias. Eritrea is about our people, right? So uh, I've noticed they play on the Pan Africanism a lot. Eugene Poirier, he's got a lot of Pan
Oh,
Africanism movements and speaking points and galamele, which is cool if you actually believe in Pan Africanism, and because we're African at the end of the day, we should unite, right? It's a good thing. But the way they speak
but
in
I
English,
actually think people need to know that some of these people are funded by the Russian outlets and the Chinese outlet. I mean, I don't think people see the way they infiltrate different movements and how they get their money and what they do, And I think once you do that, it's easier to focus on certain things and not like stoop to certain other levels. And so some people, it's easier to fall for their propaganda if you don't see how it's happening. And so I think especially people who grew up in the US, they have one frame. It could be the anti-colonial, anti-imperialist frame. That could be the only frame they see things under. And so it's easy for them to go to a certain outlet and see people like Eugene Pryor and others. There's a bunch of others. And those outlets, those people, it's not just Eritreans who know what they're doing to them. They gaslight Syrians about Assad. They gaslight the Uyghurs about China. There's different people who are dealing with the same kind of thing. So I think that and somebody wrote here, cross-national solidarity movement is good. And kind of, documenting what people are saying, exposing. I see some accounts where they're very focused on showing and exposing what Higdef people are saying in the West and translating it. That's really good. I think that's really educational. And everybody in the opposition can amplify that, whether they agree with different factions or not. And I think those things are super useful because people can rally behind certain things regardless of the specifics that they agree or not. And so I think it's more of that, I think, is a good thing.
absolutely. In fact, we have
I'm not a giant. I'm tiny.
I like your thinking. You're a giant.
I'm tiny, actually. So when people meet me, they're like, "What? What? Where? You're that short? Why?" Well, I'm pretty short. So, but yeah.
He's saying you're a giant here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah. You're a
you.
giant there. No, but you brought up a good point. What I started doing in this Calci, my team and we started implementing subcaptions in English. Anytime
Yeah.
a deaf speaks about what they're going to do, we turn it into English. Well, I knew
They
that helps us a lot.
I don't mean to interrupt, but that is very useful because another tactic is to use the language barrier, and this happens a lot in many different ways. I mean, so any time where you can accurate translate and say things in a way that is clear to people who are not necessarily Eritrean or speak Tigrinya in general, like I think that would be super useful. But just in general, I know it's difficult. It's more difficult said than done. But even when you're angry, there's a way to keep your focus on the thing you're angry about while people see your emotions. You can still display your emotions and your anger, but keep it to that topic. I've seen people like insulting women and talking about them, because even if their anger is justified, then they take it to a place where I don't think that's how we should be talking, right? When I was talking about the guy who fired me at Google, Jeff Dean, I still kept it to the things that happened. No matter how angry I was, I still kept it to that topic. I didn't start talking about his wife or something. Like I just, that I don't see how that supports the movement. So I think, I know Vanessa has trainings at One Day Siyum, and so as much as people can get trained in some of these tactics, and and understand the ways in which people try to infiltrate and discredit movements, I think that would be very helpful to try to put that rage into like something tactical and productive.
Why Slamtag Fire Geromki? Did you challenge them? I don't understand why you did.
Yeah. I wrote about I wrote well, I was challenging them the whole time I was at Google, but I wrote a paper about a specific type of technology called large language models that now is used everywhere, like is used in ChatGPT and all sorts of other things. And I wrote a paper about the issues with those kinds of technology, and they wanted me to retract the paper, and I didn't want to retract the paper, and that's how it started.
Okay. So would you say Google is a very obviously influential company, but at the same time, why wouldn't they utilize your brilliance to extend or heighten their business?
I don't know. I mean, well, maybe I was saying that my priority was not their business. My priority was how their business could be harming people. So if their business, maybe like if I tell them not to, if they think that I'm going against their bottom line, like maybe, they would fire me, but I think they made it a lot worse for themselves actually. So I don't think people people should not underestimate how egos function in the world, like even if you're a big company or whatever.
Um, Absolutely. So now let's talk about transnational repression.
Mm-hmm.
Transnational repression. What is transnational repression? Kab addaha nisidat matziyom abuse govraha, government organizations that come from a different country and try to oppress the people. Obviously, I'm invested in this movement myself, just like you. And when I say
Yeah.
movement, it's opposition. So one thing I do know is the NCEA, North American Eritrean Association, the ECCC, Eritrean Cultural Community Civic Centers, the YPFDJ, PFDJ. I understand the correlation and the ties. Only issue I have is for transnational repression, the Brigade Hamadu or Blue Revolution, Manase, Maswat Khafilo, Hugatat Hajik Yurolo. Why again, Nisab can harm, we don't want to hurt no one, we're a peaceful movement. But the problem is when we get attacked, obviously we're going to defend ourselves. But the laws are changing. So the beauty of it all is, hey, we're over here. Please hear us. No one would do it. So when that came about, now you have the Netherlands Parliament meeting to change laws and transnational oppression. There's even an act in USA that came out in 2023. Mark Rubio, there's certain Oregon senator that want to change the laws for transnational oppression. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just posted this on our private chat, this this report that people might want to see called Digital Transnational Repression. So
Mm,
transnational repression, you explained it. Then there's digital transnational repression, which is using the way in which transnational repression is done using digital means. What are all the different ways in which you could do this? What are some of the impacts? And this is Citizen Lab is a lab in Canada, and they were one of the first people to uncover the Pegasus spyware that I talked about earlier, together with Amnesty International. So my thoughts are transnational repression is a big deal, and I'm glad to see an act in the U.S. I hope it gets passed. I hope it doesn't get I mean, it's a little tricky here because I want to make sure that it does what it's intended to do. So I don't want it to be weaponized against innocent people. What if there's someone who has nothing to do with Hidef, and someone wants to frame them or something? You know what I mean? I'm just thinking here out loud, right? So it's important to be careful when we're advocating for these kinds of laws, so that they are not weaponized against innocent people, because that's not what we want, right? And so in general, I'm glad to see attention to it, because generally speaking, diaspora communities don't get the kind of protection and the kind of voice that they deserve. And people have seen this before. For instance, Citizen Lab and a bunch of other people have a specific recommendations for specific countries. Like they have recommendations for having a specific body that deals with transnational repression. They have recommendations for taking it seriously and things like that. So it is not usually taken as seriously as it should be. And the second thing is, when you are living in the Western countries, there are certain countries that they're more interested in, and other countries that they're less interested in. So they take transnational repression by, let's say, China or Russia much more seriously than Eritrea. Like, what is Eritrea? Where is it? Who cares? Why should I care? So it's important to frame arguments in such a way as they know why they should care about Eritrea, right? Like, how does it impact you? How does it impact you if you ignore it? So, it's a real problem. It's a studied problem too. People suffer in silence because they experience it, but it's a real problem. It's a studied problem. There are many different ways in which transnational repression is perpetuated. Some of them are extremely blatant, even the digital ones. And I'm really glad to see attention being put towards it. I want it to be real and have an impact, and I also don't want it to be weaponized against innocent people. You're muted or something. I can't hear you.
Would you say Anasran Hajin Edelena in example Hajin Anasran transnational pressure Galavana? We know what it is. But I've noticed the refugees, asylum seekers, of USA, of Europe, قالوا خلاص يسعوا تلوم يفرحوهم خمسين حزيقة بركة عصار يمزبلو نعفر ريمكا سوري لكا عدغا تملس
like the regret form. Yeah.
نديخا نبوها كان هارمو مينا قال ملا اندحر نو إلهم كاني فايل ناتهم يسحبوا يصيغوا لهم ورقاتات ولا طبقات تبزي أمريكا أن طبقات بهالو دليت فتحي يصيغوا on purpose يفضهم ترديكي. So what do you think what should we create a coalition, some sort of organization that protects them? Because I was thinking using my government retiree extime, inshallah, they give you a grant for business. And if I could get trusted people, I want to start a business where it can provide counseling, paperwork, and protect the Ihwatna. بزايد is Tigrawa you, Galadi, Eritrean you, because it's a 501c, obviously government funded business. What are your thoughts on that? What are things that you think they could do to protect themselves?
The asylum seekers, the new asylum seekers, it's tough because they're new, they're scared, they just got there, they don't know the system, and now they have a translator. I have to ask, because I'm not sure, because I don't think I can give an answer to that, because I think that answer needs to be informed in the rights that you have as an asylum seeker, and I don't want that gesture thing, and the repercussions of, for instance, saying yes or no to a different translator. But specifically, as a person who is dealing with this as a new asylum seeker during your asylum case, I'm not exactly sure, because I think that we need people who know. Like, if Meron was here, I would ask her, because she knows so much about refugees and what they're dealing with, and what the landscape is. But the rest of us, I think we should continue to expose them and document these systems. And it needs to be very difficult for them to do this. It's very easy for them to do it right now. And that's really the thing that makes me so upset and mad, is that after all the things they do in the country, it shouldn't be easy for them. They shouldn't just like relax in the West and while doing these things. So I think it should be made very difficult for them to be able to perpetuate these kinds of things. And I feel like some of these laws, I feel like some of the articles that have come out, the documentation of the extent to which they do this, who the key people are, how the system works, I think that's really important to continue to uncover. That's what the rest of us can do. The individual asylum seekers, I'm not exactly sure, because they're in a very precarious situation. So I don't think I can give specific advice to them that's not, super well informed in kind of the repercussions of what they whether they do X or Y.
Absolutely. Actually, so how to get this? Like I know I try to help someone and then منابات زي delayed فتحي I don't you can for example I get a lot of phone calls through social media قال حجزونا and
Yeah.
I can only do so much. So the thing is uh, it's a delayed فتحس we
System
have
كنا برا هاتو زلنا.
right we have to get
Mhm.
all تماهيرهم مهورات قالوا بلهم
Yeah.
system حارين refugees حقز حارين
Oh.
ganzab زكب حارين if we can somehow formulate a worldwide group
Mhm.
or by country, and then there's a board on top. That means like we're trying to do with this blue revolution. And then we can simplify this. I should be able to get us. I had a case where I had haftanats Miss Hadits Adarts Alimnera abuse Gavraneru, but he had the leverage asylum seekers on it. And he was using that, right? And I was so frustrated because she couldn't leave his home. I couldn't get her the help she wanted without breaking some laws. And I'm not going to break any laws. So I'm just like, حاجة زي نبرن. And then eventually, ولا حجة حاونا كابا Eritrea استملس له زي نايسلت أنا shows what's at Tamale. He was saying brigade حابرو أبا Eritrea له قال ملي حجة استملس كولس he has nothing ولا حد سبت حقوزه يلن. We have to formulate a construct, something. We've came a long way. We came like botatna down dictator دم includes ولا نبرو حجخلو النجارات خيرانو كندي خسيرنا عينا نهدف أنا رجعت أنا ولا في USA كندي خسيرونس عقلمس everyone's they don't know what to do now, you know what I mean. I think but as far as your field this is not كسر حزلو um, is there some sort of apprenticeship where people can come work for you or maybe in your line of business أتيهم ساقي قلق مهرنات خلي. Can you expound on that?
Well, yeah, I sometimes have internships. And so we advertise them, but each time we get an internship, we get like hundreds of applicants. So, um, to your point about like lots of people asking you for help and this and that and systematizing things, that's what I've done. So I created the organization Black in AI for people in AI who need help, right? So if people, um, it's not for people who have not at all done anything AI, but if there are people who have done a personal project or taken a couple of classes or whatever, they can apply to join Black in AI. And that organization has a lot of support. They help people apply to graduate school. There's forums where there you can see what jobs are available. There are there's a lot of support. So I created that because I couldn't just do everything myself, and I wanted to create a system for people helping each other. And I think it really has had a lot of impact. I meet a lot of people who have been able to get support because of that organization. DARE is still kind of small, so we can't take in so many influxes, right? So many people. But we do work with some groups of people. There are Eritreans who work at DARE and who help other people also to the extent of their ability. And so, yeah, so Black in AI is the first one I would suggest in terms of support for people in my field. For DARE, I would say, when we have opportunities for internships or other things, I advertise them on our website or elsewhere on social media. I can like send them directly to you so people can keep an eye out for that.
Excellent. So I know we're past an hour and 30 before we wrap it up. I was excited because we're at 2,863, 65 people. Shomantasha, I mean, Celeste
Hi,
Shah,
everyone. Salam.
Dr. Timnit.
Atawajaha.
Did I get it right? Dr. Timnit.
Shimnagan.
Is that
Timnit.
Neat? You know what's throwing me
Timnit.
off? The
What?
NEAT is neat mish. So it's
Neat,
Timnit.
exactly.
Timnit.
Timnit.
Got it. Timnit.
Exactly. Timnit.
Is it بوزة حجي انت لو مثلك abs in a diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
أبينا خنحوجزم نزم حواتنا. How can we help our brothers in this movement? We were thinking, we found out what we أبينا قاعدين نحن تقرينا غنمهار نقدن ቋንቋና ስለዝኾነ እሱ
ግን ትግርኛ ጥራይ ኣይኮነን ናይ ኤርትራ ቋንቋ ምሽ እሱ ከዓ ኣሎ
ብዙሕ ኣሎ ትሽዓተ ብሄር ፃሆ ብዙሕ
Yes, I think people need to respect all the different languages, all the different groups.
Absolutely. Again, how can we be an impact as the diaspora? ሓደ ኤርትራ ዝብሉ ማለት ከምዚ ህግደፍ እዮም ዝወስድዎ ኣነ ብኤርትራ ይኣምን ኢልኪ ህግደፍ ይብሉ ኣይኮነን ንሕና ክንቀርቦም ከለና ነዚኦም ድላይ ትፍሕቲ ክንቀርቦም
ፅሒፍዎ ኣሎ ሽመይ ኣብኡ ትምኒት ኢሉ ፅሒፍዎ
ትምኒት ሓቂኻ ዝሓወይ ዶክተር ገብሩ እያ ዶክተር ገብሩ ይሓይሽ ሕጂስ ንሕና this is the biggest problem we have, like we get close to them, we want to help them. You have to understand, we grew up here, so we're Eritrean, we want to help Eritrea. مش انت را Eritrea تبزح لها هقدفها قالوا لها نحن نو زحوي Eritrea
nationalism ስለዝበዝሖም ሆና, you know, I mean, it could be because sometimes people talk about Eritrea like it's an idea, and they don't talk about it like it's a place with real people, and they don't talk about the real people. And so maybe the people who experience this have an aversion to that because they are thinking nationalism rather than people. So, you know, maybe talk about Eritreans more.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just have
because then it's the people you're talking about, you know,
because people. That's what we support is the people. Absolutely.
The people are the ones who need support. Yeah.
That need the help. But the question is, we realized once we started doing things in English, we started making a difference. So now it's English زخيل, it's تجرينا زخيل. بحسب إن كنا رهبة خوينا. If we could get them together and speak and listen to interviews like this and show that we have brilliant young people like yourself, we can make a change. So this is where we're kind of crossing a bridge. So I'm أخذ حيزناس نتحدث تجرينا زخيل كاب إريترا زمت زلوا أبزز عبيه. We're trying to bring them together. Again, they don't. Bahali, we have an issue after Bahali. Zigachuri's bahal. It's agamatata because nahna Eritrea needs freedom. Kuna binu some ka grafna was our Eritrea sawan erna galenna grofna. Hizbina bhma what's hizbi. So I was رديت نجاراتي لأن أنا يجاجي أبو زحمة تجرينا تترجموا سلا زي فلتو أب نجاراتي أتيه. How do you think we can get them? Yeah, how can we get them together without causing issues?
Well, you know, my thought is that the people in diaspora have to be more like support staff. Everything has to be based on, you know, the number one victims are the people there and the people who just left and who went through that. So everyone else just has to be more like support staff, not the main character. So I think that the actual change, the actual stuff only comes from them, and the rest of us, I think, just have to be kind of more, you know, support, more seeing kind of guidance, more strategy. I'm not sure, but that's how I feel, right? Like, so sometimes people in the diaspora, they haven't lived there, they have a different point of view, and it's like they've created their own other kind of culture that's not the same as the people who are just living there and just left and dealt with all this stuff. So then the people in the diaspora just have to be support staff. They're not, it's first and foremost a fight for those people who just left now, or those people who are there. That's the number one fight, is for them. So everybody else, I think, is secondary, and everybody else needs to be more like a support staff. It's hard. We shouldn't be speaking over them.
Basically, if the victim is telling you what his issue is, you just support the victim.
You shouldn't be speaking over them. You shouldn't be telling them they're wrong. So if you think they're misguided, I think then you kind of can support with the strategy or support with a different thing. But I think it's important to listen, and I don't think, you know, you should be speaking over them. Yeah.
But I feel like they expect us to do so much because we have more opportunities than them. But we're having an issue connecting with them. And when I say that, there are those in the middle that understand what we're trying to do. There are those that say, hey, take the lead, we will follow you. And then there are those that say, I've been in this fight for 60 years. You can't tell me nothing. And I don't want to say to him, Abeti, Arokto, Dizbal, Abeti. I don't know. I don't know if that's respectful.
Abeti.
Abzik Asas Novarus, Kanama Abulom Fatinina, but Silanatum Silazilomadu, Bichink Bigale, they don't let you progress or open up new ways to.
Have you heard the saying, like, make the revolution irresistible? Or I don't remember who said it.
I love it.
I think that first and foremost, it's not their fight. It's the current young people's fight. They are the number one victims. It's their fight. So I think the question is how to, I guess, make the revolution irresistible, or and support the young people. The people who've been fighting for 60 years, you respect them. We know how to respect our elders. We've been taught that. But it's not their fight first and foremost. It's the fight of the people who are currently victims, and that's the young people of today.
Do you see yourself, and I know we're going to end this soon. We're almost at 3,000 people. That's my mark. So do you see so Mama Almaz, she's a Tagarali Tanera of Eritrea. She lives in, I have so much respect. Abuya Shera, Mama Almaz. I'm like you, I'm open to Sha'ata Bihera, Shudishta Zoba. There's a lot of people that don't accept this. I accept all Eritreans. What she wanted me to tell you is she messaged me. She said, Salam Dawit, I'm watching your show with Dr. Gebru. I'm so proud of you. You're doing a good job. Keep doing it. I love you so much. Tell her I'm proud of her and I love her as well. So
thank you.
I think you understand how much we care and love you, but maybe not the magnitude that maybe you don't see how we see you. You know what I mean? Maybe to you, you're just like some person, but you're our unicorn, so to speak, respectfully. So
I appreciate that.
Moving forward, how do you think you can challenge, educate, and progress? Not also growth, his bina. How can you do that? Where do you think you can help us the most? The most without damaging yourself or causing yourself any harm, because we know where you're at. You can only do so much.
I would say I'm doing my best. I don't talk about everything, so I don't think that's like appropriate to tell people everything you're doing. That's just not how things work. So I think I'm doing my best. I think that I can raise awareness, amplify some voices, raise awareness where I see transnational repression, raise awareness where I see some of the things that we know Def is doing, and use my skills to expose some of these issues to the best of my ability. But I don't think I should give an itemized report, because I don't feel like that's useful.
Absolutely. So our brother, so this is towards the end of our show. We're at 2,996 people. Share Gabaruo. One last question before we give you the final word. This is our brother Danny. He's part of the Blue Revolution. He also speaks English. Go ahead, Danny. She can hear you, but when she replies, I have my earpiece on. So go ahead.
Thank you, Cap. And first, I would like to say thank you for the leading all this amazing interview, Cap. Dr. Timnit. First, I would like to congratulate you for your success. Kudos for hopefully for many girls and boys to be followed. Please open your doors, because you are the reason. And those who come are the purpose. So both together we will have a national success in any shape or form. Let me get back to my question. About 5 months project where there's a great Eritrean somewhere in LA, computer science. How do we Eritreans كلهم كل مصدقون ويكا خم ID ويكا and a system of social security number what he wants to كمول عالم so sort of town by town, city by city, state by state, and definitely in a national through America, Europe, Africa, Israel, Australia, and it's going to go on. I need your expertise to help you out if you like, if you're willing. Hopefully you could work with us, but if you would like to help using your intelligently non-artificial brain that God gives you, how do you apply this in order, regardless who he is, whether it's the other side or whether it's the justice seekers, the late regardless, تمسجيبوا Eritrean تمسجيبوا, and then there is a farther notice, farther job to do with it. So إذا عينة تسرار عن قبر دليلنا ننامو. How could you apply it, and what would you advise me? Respectfully, Dr. Timnit and Cap, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. We'll talk later. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
سلازي تحطوا I'm not sure انت تردون انت خوينو مكنياتهم تحطوا انتايو تقوم إيرترايان أب diaspora أب قال زلوا كله كمزجابو منتان كندي كم زلوا خنفلت مالتيو. Is that the question?
Yeah, I think he's trying to, you know how like they have the social security system, so we'll be able to track and assist and like formulate some sort of.
Oh, I see. سلازي social security عينت نجار نخلو diaspora أصلاً كجبرمو دحري كندي خمسة لو خفلت كستاي كجبرو منتان assist. You know, I don't know. Maybe we should talk further. So maybe he can email me. And we can talk further. You can, if you like Google or something, you can find my email. I worry about some sort of like one centralized database of information.
Can be used against
yes, and I want people to remember how amazing the Eritrean network is in terms of we know like so and so's daughter, so and so's grandchild, so you know, like that we have a map of how we related to everybody. I really feel like we could create a census even using that, but I do worry about, you know, a centralized database. I would like to think about what kind of cybersecurity measures there would be, and what additional information would be stored about each person. What about like identity theft? I mean, because depending on what it would be done. I mean, I don't know. There's like a lot of things going through my head right now. So yeah, I think maybe it would be good to discuss further.
Absolutely. There would be security threats, cybersecurity. There's a lot of things involved when you're dealing with sensitive information, who has access to it, and so on, tracking all. So Dr. Gebru, I would like to thank you today for being a special guest. I know there's so many people with so many questions. I'm sorry.
I was trying to read some of
maybe
them
I'll
here.
bring her. She's going to come back. This was a professional interview. I loved it. Respectful. We'll continue to do this, especially in the Tigray Zara, but English Zara, but for like, we're trying to gather you guys and educate and you know, intellectuals and gather you guys. So any last words you would like to give our people? And I'm going to enlarge you. Don't get a somebody and just tell them what you want before you leave.
Okay, well, in English, I think there's a term, there's a phrase by Mariam Kaba, who is a prison abolitionist. She fights to abolish prisons, and she said that hope is a discipline. So hope is something you have to cultivate every day. You have to be disciplined in hope. So tasfa ይተጥፉ በብመዓልቲን ተስፋ ክነብረኩም ተደሊኹም ስኒ ዲስፕሊን ክትከኑ ኣለኩም ብዛዕባ ተስፋ ማለት እዩ። So I don't know ብትግርኛ ከመይ ገይረ ነዚ ከም ዝትግሞ ከምኡ እቲ ናተይ ዘለዎ መሰጅ እሞ በቃ that's it. That's my message. Thank you for bringing.
Hold on. Okay, Dr. A, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Celeste show. سبعان كلتن سب سمعوا له
حنسنايو سلسة شح اوكي
حجرا انا بعد اسئله كمان انا نزقر
اوكي عامل له على الرأي انه تسكستاي
ابزيك ستاي I will send it to you the picture زي بكل جيم بلاتفورمز لزرق هو حجم ان شاء الله اصحاب يوتيوب طرح جبارو قال حارلو يردعني ابزي حارلو بكل انترنت كروز يقولوا يوتيوب الون يبلون من فيسبوك إذا حزبنا كريا كلو سمع كلو أنا بتعامل تحويسه لغلومي to have someone of your status here, and we would like to invite you, even if it's monthly, you can come and brief us on any new developments or AI. We're very interested. Our people need to reach the next level. We want to thank you. We have a lot of respect for you. If you need anything from us, كتفضل زلك حتى نقرأ دكتور تمنيت
Goes.
Misley
Tifayit kayo.
Sarawit Alaki. Manalbata it felt in a higin Sarawit Alaki. Not in a military aspect.
Yeah.
In an aspect of when you tweet, we watch everything you tweet. We will some things we don't understand because it's beyond us, like with the whole Elon Galamele. You know, T Al Sina tweet Gebru Sarawit Asina and Anariaki. We will support you. All you have to do is reach me, be like, I'm trying to do this. سراويتنا بتويتر كلهم زيهم من اسيا بتويتر كانوا حجي ساتفوا لو هيك ديفز بحال ازقيتنا هنا they can't handle us. So you have a lot more support than you know. Trust me. We are your warriors. Utilize this as you see fit. We're there with you, Doctor. Thank you so much for coming. Much respect.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you, Zahafte.
Thank you.
Okay, ciao.
Ciao.
What? I brought you a big gift today. Dr. Timnit Gebru, the brilliant Doctor. أنا بتعمل تحويس اللغة تفضيهم. كنمثلكم هنا. I know you have a lot of questions. Not to worry. We have a lot of brilliant brothers and sisters. She's one of my favorite. The fact that I was able to connect with her. I don't know. I feel blessed today. See, the water tastes better. The air's everything's just better today for me. I'm intellectually in love. Reza, I cannot believe how brilliant she is. ከምዚ ታትዩ ዘለና ኣብ ሃለውሎ ንግደፎ ኣብ ስራሕና ንስራሕ ኣብ ብሪልየንስ ንስራሕ ተረዲእኩም እዚ ኩሉ ኣውራጃ ገለመለ ትሳተፍሉ ወሓፍዎ ወላ ኣብ ቲክቶክ ኣምፂና እዚኣ ሃፍትና ክንዛረበላ ክትምህረና ኣለና we have this why don't we use this ይሕዋት እዚ ቃልስና ኣብ ዝኾነ ወላ ኤርትራና ክንኣቱ ዘይከኣልናስ ብሪልየንት ኩላና ክንከውን ንኽእል ኢና እቲ ደረጃ ዝበፅሕዎ ክንበፅሖ ንደሊ ኢና ሰባት ስሕበና እትፅዕሪ ዘላ ኢዳ ትህበና ኣላ ንሕና ሒዝናያ ክንሰቅል ጥራሕ እዩ ዘለና ተረዲእኩም በጃኹም ኣብዚኣ ንስራሕ ትዊተር ዘይተሳተፉ ተሳተፉ ሎሚ ኣካውንት ከፊትኩም ዶክተር ትምኒት ገብሩ ፋሎ ግበርዋ ንካፕቴን ገዛውቲ ከፊትና ሰራዊትና ኣብኡ ዝሰርሑ ዘሎ ሰራዊት ክብሎ ኣለኹ ቲም እየ ዝብል ንሕና ፒስፉል ሰብ ኢና we believe in peace ጥራሕ we believe in brilliance and peace ንህዝብና ንርማ ዓቢልና ንህዝብና ንርምሂርና ካልእ ደረጃ ክንበፅሕ ንኽእል ዓለም ቀጥቀጥ ኣቢልና ዓድና ኣቲና ንዓድና ሓፍ ክነብላ ንኽእል ኢና ንሕና ፀለምቲ ኢና we already are underrated ኢና so we're going to be overrated soon يغنلي Captain Eritrea Dawit Hawkhum I got to tend to my guests and say goodbye thank you Hwate have a nice day share follow whatever else you want to do thank you